Chapter 39. Master, it is time to awaken. That voice clear, serene, and familiar called to me from the darkness. Seal, my awareness stirred, like ripples across a still pond. Slowly, I emerged from the deep slumber I had fallen into after the evolution. My senses returned, piece by piece, until finally, I awoke. I was still in my slime form, resting atop the throne placed at the center of the plaza. The world felt different, heavier, quieter. And yet, I was aware of everything: the tension in the air, the subtle flow of magic, the life signatures around me. My core pulsed softly. Ciel's voice spoke again. The evolution has completed successfully. Your body and soul are now stabilized. I took a moment to look around. Benimaru was still standing barely. His body trembled, eyes heavy, but he stubbornly resisted the pull of evolutionary sleep. Everyone else had already succumbed. Ren, Shuna, Rigurd, Soe, Hakuro, all lying peacefully, their bodies enveloped in magic as the evolution took hold. Xian, Gobzo, and the others remained still lifeless. Shuna's spell continued to preserve them, their bodies resting gently near the center of the plaza. Majoran stood alone, the only one awake. She wasn't my subordinate, so the effects of the evolution didn't touch her. She just watched in silence. Then, my body began to shine. Light swirled around me, rising into the air as my form shifted and reformed. The radiance grew more intense, and when it finally faded, I stood in human form. Wah, I'm not wearing anything. The wind brushing against bare skin made the situation very clear. Flustered, I immediately activated dress change. In a swirl of magic, the outfit Ren had prepared for my journey enveloped me. A white off-shoulder blouse with long sleeves and a row of buttons down the front, layered over a black halter-style underlayer. A high-waisted black skirt with subtle floral patterns near the hem, tied at the back with a ribbon. Opaque black tights and black lace-up ankle boots. The fabric settled around me, comfortable and familiar. I glanced down at myself. Taller, more mature. Before, I looked around 16. Now, maybe 18. Benimaru's eyes widened slightly. He stared at me, dazed, as if unsure whether I was real or just a dream brought on by his fatigue. I stepped forward quietly, letting my feet touch the earth. Then I knelt before him, just enough to meet his gaze directly. Benimaru, I said softly. You've done well. Now, leave the rest to me. He blinked slowly, his strength finally giving way as his knees buckled. And enjoy your slumber. He didn't even reply, just gave the faintest nod as his eyes closed. I caught him before he fell, easing him gently to the ground. His breathing soon evened out, peaceful. Majoran remained still, watching. I took a quiet breath. All right, Seal, let's bring them back. I stepped closer to where their bodies lay: Xian, Gobzo, the others. So still, so silent. The plaza had become a solemn graveyard, but I wasn't here to mourn. I was here to bring them back. Seal, I whispered, it's time. Open double angle bracket. Understood, Master. Beginning resurrection sequence. Activating ultimate skill. Beelzebub, Lord of Gluttony. Close double angle bracket. A pulse of darkness bloomed in the air around me. Beelzebub was activated, a villainous force unleashed upon the world, but one used for a certain goal, tracing each of the results Seal had calculated. Every magicule within the barrier covering the town was absorbed, converting the atmosphere back into pure air. Then the barrier itself was neatly eaten up, and then Beelzebub was halted. It was as if nothing had ever happened to this space at all. Bringing my hands forward, I began casting Analyze and Assess. I didn't speak. I couldn't. The weight of what I was doing pressed down on every part of me. As I worked in silence, a familiar presence quietly emerged from the shadows. The archdemon I had summoned before collapsing. He stood there now, watching me intently. He said nothing, didn't move, didn't disturb me. His eyes simply followed my every motion with an eerie calm, as if already pledging his loyalty by restraint alone. I ignored him for now. This moment wasn't about him. It was about them. Xian, Gobzo, my people. This was their turning point. And I would not fail. Once I'd confirmed the conditions, I began. Secret art of revival commencing. What followed was one of the deepest, most mysterious rituals this world had to offer. The very boundary between life and death was being rewritten by my will. Colorless, transparent orbs of light floated gently in the air, each wrapped in a delicate, flawless film of soft purple. These were the cores of my fallen comrades, their souls, preserved through some miracle. Their astral bodies shimmered faintly around them, protecting their essence. I guided each one of them back. Following the precise process of the secret art of resurrection, I returned the rebuilt monster souls to their respective bodies. All the monsters laid in this plaza had been gifted complete memory as part of the evolutionary process. And they accepted that gift, willingly embracing my hope as their own. Complete memory and extra skill capable of fully restoring every shred of memory and identity, even if the brain itself had decayed. As long as the soul remained, the rest could be pieced together again and again, without limit. Now, the final step. The link between soul and body was re-established. And then, each core shone with a soft inner light. One by one, the monsters' hearts began to beat once more, slowly, steadily. They were alive again, not awake yet. Their slumber was deep, but their breathing had returned. Their souls pulsed gently inside their bodies. They would wake soon. Only 3 people bore witness to the miracle I had just performed. Majoran stood frozen, her face pale and her breath caught in her throat. Her eyes, wide with disbelief, followed my every movement with a mix of awe and unmistakable fear. What she had just seen, what I had done, defied everything she thought she understood about this world. Gruchith had gone deathly pale, the blood drained from his face. He stood stiffly, not daring to speak, barely daring to breathe. And then there was the demon. He watched in silence, his eyes glowing gold with slit red pupils, surrounded by shadowy black sclera. He said nothing. He didn't need to. The reverence in his gaze was absolute, his posture still and perfectly composed. It wasn't loyalty that shone in those eyes. It was worship. He looked upon me as if I were sacred, an existence to be served, protected, and adored. I am back, my master, the demon said, kneeling before me with perfect grace. His eyes gazed up in pure reverence, alight with devotion. I looked him over, arms loosely crossed. You're the demon I summoned earlier, right? Yes, he replied immediately. As you ordered, the man who was pretending to be dead has been apprehended. I placed him with the other human survivors. None have been harmed. Good. I gave a small nod. Then, you can go now. Silence. The air around us shifted. The demon didn't move, still kneeling, but something about his presence suddenly grew fragile. Like glass on the verge of cracking. You are dismissing me? He asked, his voice quiet, uncertain. I blinked. He bowed even lower, almost scraping the ground. His voice trembled as he spoke. If I have failed to be of use, then punish me. But please, do not cast me aside. Even if I am unworthy, I wish to serve. Even as your lowliest servant. If that is all I am permitted to be, then so be it. That alone would be the greatest honor of my existence. I let out a soft sigh, rubbing my temple. You're being way too dramatic. Still, he remained there, unmoving, utterly devoted. Yeah, I could already tell. This guy wasn't just loyal. He was obsessed. I looked down at the demon kneeling before me. You've done well, I said quietly. If you wish to stay, I'll allow it. You may serve me. He bowed his head deeper, voice steady yet filled with emotion. To serve you, even as the lowest of your servants, would be my greatest joy, master. I sighed. You really don't hold back, do you? Then, tilting my head, what's your name? Being a nameless demon is more than enough for me, master. I exist only to serve. That's not going to work. From now on, you'll be Diablo. Magicils pulsed out as the name settled. But it wasn't nearly as much as I'd expected. That didn't even take much Magicils. That is because your Magicil capacity has increased over tenfold, CL's voice informed me gently, her tone calm and reassuring. Figures. But I still can't use all of it, Correct. The hero seed within you continues to interfere with your output. TCH. Still causing trouble. I have found a way to suppress it, she said quietly. It won't be an issue much longer. While I was speaking with Seal, Diablo remained motionless before me, kneeling with unwavering focus. Then, suddenly, a cocoon of darkness began to envelop his body as he prepared for his own evolution. I'm so careless sometimes. I should have expected this. Naming a high-level demon. Of course it would trigger evolution. I guess there's no cure for being a little too generous. The evolution completed itself as I mused over this. The swirling shadows dissipated, revealing the new form within. Streaks of deep red and shimmering gold now threaded through his jet-black hair, catching the light with an almost infernal gleam. His eyes were the same as before, golden, radiant, but the crimson pupils inside them glowed even more sharply, framed by pitch-black sclera. The contrast was striking, otherworldly. As he rose to his full, slender height, I noticed his attire had changed as well. Gone was the princely elegance from before. Now, he wore the peak of refined domestic fashion, a butler's ensemble so perfect it was practically ceremonial. The fabric shimmered subtly, like it had been tailored from living shadow. White gloves, dark coat with silver trim, every detail flawless. He looked like the image of loyalty, yet the arrogance he radiated hadn't diminished in the slightest. If anything, it had refined itself, narrowed, honed into something more dangerous and unwavering. He was no longer a demon without direction. He had chosen a master. And he was proud of it. Diablo gave a graceful bow, then placed one hand to his chest and the other behind his back as he straightened. Diablo, that is my name. My heart is filled with deep emotion, master. From this day forward, I promise to serve you with all my heart. A respectful salute followed. It was theatrical, sure, but I could feel the sheer sincerity radiating from him. This wasn't just loyalty. This was devotion. There's no need to call me master all the time, I said. Though, well, when Seal says it, it somehow feels right. And honestly, if Ren ever called me that with her cool, serious face, I probably wouldn't mind either. There's something kind of sweet about it when it comes from a beautiful woman. But when a guy says it just feels weird, like we're doing some kind of master-servant roleplay, and not the good kind. Turns out, even after everything, I still like women. Guess some things don't change. And hey, I'm technically a woman now too, but who cares? I like what I like. Diablo lowered his head again, his expression reverent. How shall I refer to you, then? Rimuru works. Ah, Rimuru, such a sweet tone that name has. Lady Rimuru it shall be, then. He rose gracefully to his feet, his butler-style uniform draping flawlessly over his form. That cool, composed posture. Yeah, he and Ren would probably get along just fine. But there were more pressing concerns. I narrowed my eyes a little. Seal, you said you found a way to suppress the effects of the hero's seed. What exactly do you mean? Her answer came smoothly. Open double angle bracket by using unlimited imprisonment, master. We conceal the hero's seed within an infinitely vast imaginary space, effectively isolating it and preventing any interaction with your core. Close double angle bracket. That caught my attention. Wait, unlimited imprisonment? You mean the same one we used on Veldora? Then does that mean we can free him now too? There was a pause, then her voice returned measured, but just a little too quick to hide her annoyance. Open double angle bracket. Yes, the analysis is complete. Though it took longer than necessary, as Veldora prioritized rifling through your memories for manga over contributing anything useful. Close double angle bracket. Of course he did, I muttered with a sigh. Open double angle bracket. However, as a result of the Harvest Festival, Veldora received a gift, an ultimate skill. That drastically accelerated the remaining stages of the analysis. His release is now merely a matter of execution, should you wish it, master. Naturally, I ensured he was appropriately punished, by designating him as the primary test subject for your new skills. Close double angle bracket. Wait, you could do that? Open double angle bracket. Yes. Now that your skill gluttony has evolved into an ultimate skill, you can transfer your consciousness into your stomach space at will. It grants me far more flexibility when handling internal matters such as disciplining unruly dragons. Close double angle bracket. So, it works like Romulus's small world, right? Open double angle bracket. No, master. While it may seem similar, it is fundamentally different. Small world is a constructed subspace grounded in the physical realm. What you possess is an imaginary space, a higher dimensional conceptual domain. Think of it as entering a lucid dream, except everything you do there has real consequences. It is an extension of your soul, not a separate world. Close double angle bracket. So wait, what if I use thought acceleration out here first, then enter my imaginary space? Would I get even more time? Open double angle bracket. Yes, master. In doing so, you would first slow external perception through thought acceleration, and then step into a space where time flows according to your will. The two compound, allowing for nearly limitless internal processing time while only a moment passes outside. Close double angle bracket. Well, I've gotta test this out, but before that, guess I should release Veldora pronto. I just hope he's still alive after whatever you did to him. Open double angle bracket. He is alive. Close double angle bracket. Seal replied calmly. Open double angle bracket. Slightly traumatized, but alive. Close double angle bracket. There was a pause. Open double angle bracket. For now. Close double angle bracket. She added. I immediately turned to Diablo, who was still kneeling loyally beside me. I'll be heading to the sealed cave for a while. Make sure no one interrupts me. When the others wake up, let them know what's going on." Diablo bowed his head low, golden eyes gleaming with reverence. "As you command, Lady Rimuru. I shall allow no one to disturb your sanctuary." I then looked to Majoran. "Tell the others, once they're up. Diablo is my subordinate from now on. I'll explain everything else later." Majoran blinked, clearly still overwhelmed, but she nodded quickly. "Why yes, I understand." Gruchith, pale and tight-lipped, remained quiet nearby. I ignored him, and with that, I teleported to the sealed cave. Before long, I was deep inside the sealed cave, the very place where Veldora had been held all this time. It was a Region 1. Didn't even let Gabble and his army approach. Unleashing a true dragon in the middle of town, yeah, that'd probably cause more than a few issues. So I chose this place instead. Even with Veldora still sealed, the area around him was so thick with magicules that most people couldn't come near it. But for me, it was effortless. Once upon a time, it took me several minutes to pin down the coordinates for spatial motion. Now, it was as easy as a passing thought. With just that, 2 points in space connected and a shimmering portal opened before me. One step forward, and I was there. But enough about me, let's turn our attention to Veldora. This has been a long time coming, hasn't it? Nearly 2 years, in fact. I finally stood at the edge of fulfilling that promise, the one I made when I first came into this world. He'd been waiting all this time, sealed away, patient as ever, or as patient as Veldora could be. I still needed a vessel, but I had a feeling Seal would handle that part just fine. Raising one hand toward the sky above, as if calling forth the heavens themselves, I gathered the flow of magicules around me. "I'm bustin' you out of there, Veldora." Then I gave the command, calm and clear. "Seal, let's begin." The moment I gave the order, a storm of magicules exploded inside my stomach. If I hadn't evolved gluttony into Beelzebub, it probably would have torn me apart. The sheer pressure, the spiraling flow, it was like releasing a sealed typhoon after an eternity of being caged. And then, I, the great and venerable Veldora, have returned. Venerable, ha, that's new. I smirked. So Seal really did punish him in there, huh? No wonder he's trying to sound more dignified now. Hey, I greeted him casually, waving a hand through the air. "Long time no see. How you doin'? You seem to be treating this great resurrection of mine rather flippantly," Veldora replied with a hint of indignation. But it came more quickly than I expected. I had anticipated a while longer. He still had that over-the-top flair. But knowing he got bossed around by Seal the whole time, that just made this reunion even sweeter. "Hey, Seal said you got some kind of ultimate skill now," I asked, keeping my tone light. There was a pause. Huh, Veldora's response was as clueless as ever. Another moment of silence. Then, so this is an evolved skill. His voice suddenly lit up with excitement. "My unique skill Investigator has evolved into the ultimate skill Faust, Lord of Investigation. The power to reach the ultimate truth, the final goal of my boundless research." I didn't even need Seal to speak, her silence said everything. If anything, I felt a faint tisk echo in my mind. "So you didn't even notice until I brought it up?" I deadpanned. "Gah ha ha ha. Details. Veldora replied, trying to sound cool but clearly embarrassed. I sighed. Seal didn't say a word, but I swear I felt her roll her eyes. We spent the next while catching up on things, sharing what we'd learned with each other. I'd missed this just shooting the breeze with Veldora, even if most of it was him being overly proud of himself and conveniently forgetting how much Seal had to babysit his analysis process. Really, we could have stayed down there all day. But I wanted to get him out into the open sooner or later. "Hey, so now that the seal's broken and everything, you wanna go see what's going on outside?" I asked. Yes, the time has come for me to return to the world. But, what shall we do about a vessel for my glorious physical form? I think we can figure something out. But there's something I want you to promise me first. Oh, what is it? Your aura. It's way too massive. I need you to hold it back, just for now. There are humans in town now, and weaker monsters too. If you waltz in full power, it's gonna blow everything to pieces. There was a moment of silence. Then Veldora's voice came through, calm and respectful for once. So you really became a queen, huh? Veldora exclaimed, grinning ear to ear with gleeful amusement. Huh, I blinked, caught a little off guard. You already knew. FWAH haha. But of course, I read through your memories, remember? Your evolution, your adventures, what a magnificent spectacle. I let out a sigh, folding my arms. So you seriously went through everything while sealed? I had nothing better to do. It was like watching an epic saga unfold, one glorious moment after another. I gave him a dry look. You're starting to sound exactly like Ren. Oh, Veldora tilted his head, intrigued. You know the way she watches me like some walking drama. Always with that glint in her eyes, calling me, my lady, like she's starring in a play or something. I side-eyed him. You two would get along way too well. FWAH haha. A kindred spirit indeed. This Ren clearly has impeccable taste. I narrowed my eyes. That wasn't a compliment. He chuckled softly, the pride in his voice unmistakable. Then, very well, you have my word, Rimuru. I shall keep my aura sealed, for the sake of your nation. I smiled a little at that, feeling a flicker of warmth. In the back of my mind, I heard Seal murmur lightly. It seems he's at least learned some restraint, eventually. She sounded neutral enough, but I could tell she was pleased too. Once I had his word, I unleashed my brand new enhanced replication, well, whatever Seal decided to call it. The naming wasn't the important part. What mattered was the vessel. A flawless, complete duplicate of my current form, right down to the silky silver hair and, if I dare say so myself, the unfairly beautiful face. Behold, I declared, a little too proudly. Your brand new body. Veldora's eyes sparkled as he took in the sight. Oh, magnificent, handsome and powerful, just as expected from my best friend. I wasn't aiming for handsome, actually. I muttered, arms crossed. Well, I was. FWAH haha. Of course he was. Once I had Veldora's word, I activated my new ability, enhanced replication. This was the vessel I had in mind for him, a perfect duplicate of me. Same build, same features. A little weird seeing myself from the outside like that, but hey, it worked. Veldora would probably love it. I reached into my stomach and carefully extracted his spiritual body, his very essence. He didn't even have an astral body right now, so the transplant was delicate. Still, as long as the soul remained intact, the rest would rebuild itself over time. My replication body would act as a buffer, protecting him while he stabilized. Or so I thought. Open double angle bracket master. I have an important development to share. Close double angle bracket. Ciel's voice chimed in, calm but with a slight note of urgency. I frowned. Something about Veldora. During the process of transplanting his spiritual body, traces of his energy still remained inside your stomach. Belzebuth automatically consumed those remnants. I analyzed them. I blinked. Okay, as a result, I have confirmed the formation of a soul corridor between you and the individual Veldora. And, you have now obtained the ultimate skill, Veldora, Lord of the Storm. I froze. Wait, seriously, it's deeply tied to the connection between your souls. The remnants inside you acted as a bridge, and the link has been firmly established. That's, I trailed off, struggling to put the feeling into words. It wasn't just surprising, it felt intimate. A part of Veldora was now embedded in me, not just physically, but spiritually. We were linked in a way far deeper than before. I let out a slow breath. So we're connected now. For real. Yes, Seal said gently. It's a stable soul corridor. He will always be connected to you, as long as your existence continues. I glanced over at the replication body, the new vessel housing Veldora's essence. He still hadn't moved, but I could feel it now. A hum of familiar energy, resonating with mine. Ha, guess you really are stuck with me now, Veldora, I murmured, half teasing. Then quietly, more to myself than anyone, not that I mind. I know you don't, Seal whispered, her voice like a smile in my mind. With that soul corridor connection, changes began to occur within Veldora. His spiritual heart, now intertwined with mine, had become a perfect anchor point. No longer vulnerable, his existence began to stabilize. Both his astral and spiritual bodies regenerated in unison, seamlessly syncing with the vessel I had created for him, an enhanced replication, originally modeled after my current form. And then, a tremor surged through the replication. The feminine body I'd crafted based on my own began to twist and reshape in response to Veldora's will. The curves sharpened, the figure stretched upward, broader and more imposing by the second. 7 feet tall, packed with honed muscle, the transformation was nothing short of drastic. His skin turned a rich bronze brown, his hair flared into wild blonde strands, and his features hardened, still reminiscent of mine, but now distinctly masculine. A manly version of me, if I'd been built like a gladiator and had a thing for dramatic flair. You just had to go full action hero, huh? I muttered, blinking at the sight. Couldn't leave well enough alone. At least he hadn't transformed into his full-on dragon form right away. That would have caused a whole different mess. Gah ha 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 ha. I am fully restored. I have obtained ultimate power. Anyone who dares defy me shall be slain. Seriously, was this guy ever normal? Veldora stood dramatically in the middle of the crater, the confident pose, that smug look, the shouting. It was textbook overacting. Yeah, definitely copied from something. Quote. That's from one of the manga, isn't it? He laughed proudly. Indeed, the sacred texts taught me much during my solitude. Dramatic flair is essential for making one's entrance memorable. I sighed. You know, if you'd spent that time analyzing the seal instead of reenacting scenes from your so-called sacred texts, seal wouldn't have punished you. He flinched, subtle, but I caught it. His chest puffed up a little. Ha, as if I, the mighty Veldora, would be cowed by a mere assistant. A soft tap echoed behind me, the unmistakable sound of polished shoes touching stone. I didn't need to turn. I already knew who it was. Seal stepped up beside me, having materialized without a word. She wore her usual classic black and white maid uniform, crisp, pristine, perfectly arranged. Long sleeves, high collar, ribbon at her throat. Regal, dignified, and terrifying in her stillness. Her crimson eyes calmly locked onto Veldora. His voice cracked. Ah well, not that I meant you, of course. Just in general. You ignored almost everything I told you. She tilted her head just slightly. Not even a little effort. I needed spiritual enrichment. Mental resilience training. He sputtered. Reading sacred texts, I deadpanned. Exactly. Seal didn't say anything for a second. Then her gaze sharpened just a little. If you'd spent even half that time analyzing the structure of the seal, I wouldn't have needed to intervene. It was really hard. Veldora barked, arms crossed now, trying to act casual. Surely I was entitled to a little creative liberty. Creative liberty does not include spending 99% of your time reading. HMPH. He turned away, trying to strike a proud pose again. Well, I endured the consequences. As expected of me, he was trembling again. I glanced at him, still pretending you're not terrified of her. I fear no one, he replied quickly, eyes averted. Seal said nothing, just folded her hands neatly in front of her and remained silent, watching. Veldora immediately stiffened. Quote. Anyway, I turned away, waving a hand. Welcome back, dumbass. He was quiet for a moment. Then I heard his voice again, a little softer. Gaha, thanks, it's good to be back. He placed a hand over his chest and gave me a solemn nod. Truly, I'm grateful, Rimuru. You are without a doubt my one and only BFF. I blinked. Huh, he beamed. Yes, my best friend forever. You've freed me once more. A bond greater than blood ties us together. Quote. I feel like you're dramatically overselling this. Nonsense. He stepped forward, clapping a hand on my shoulder with all the force of a meteor. This is the eternal vow of friendhood. Hey ow, calm down. Still grinning, he leaned closer. From this day forth, I shall proudly proclaim to all, Rimuru Tempest is my best friend. I smirked. You know, I actually think that's a great idea. Of course it is. But, I dragged it out, enjoying the moment. You do know Milam's not gonna let that slide, right? Ha, Milam, he scoffed, tossing his hair back. That little brat doesn't scare me. She's been calling me her BFF for a while now. Very loudly, repeatedly. You sure you wanna fight over that title? He crossed his arms, grinning with full confidence. Let her come. I, Veldora, fear no one. If she wants to contest my claim, we'll settle it in glorious combat. Quote. You're really picking a fight over friendship. Indeed, friendship is worth battling for. Seal tilted her head slightly. Do you plan to start a war every time someone else becomes Master's friend? Only if they challenge my position. He said smugly. Let them come. I welcome the competition. I gave him a deadpan look. So, friendship is a blood sport now. To those with true passion, yes. Seal blinked once. This explains much about your mental development. Thank you, he said proudly. That wasn't a compliment. I sighed. You two are gonna get along just fine, huh? Ciel's voice was soft, unreadable. I doubt that. Honestly, I should have been used to this chaos by now, But no, it's definitely getting worse. Veldora was still going on about, defending the title of BFF through righteous battle, when I cut in, raising a hand. Hey, actually, I started, glancing to the side. There's something I've been meaning to say. He stopped mid-rant, blinking at me. What is it, Rimuru? I rubbed the back of my neck. It's kinda weird, so don't laugh. He tilted his head, arms folding behind his back. HMPH. Speak, Rimuru. No truth is too strange for one as great as I. I took a breath. I've been thinking about it since before your release. You know, back when I was still a slime. He nodded slowly. Back then, I was born from your magicules, I said, voice softer now. He blinked, suddenly quiet. So, I was wondering. I mean, it's not like you're my father or anything. That'd be weird. You're definitely not dad material. Oi. But still, I pressed on, cheeks warming just a bit. We both share the same last name now. Tempest. We've been connected since the beginning, so. I thought. I scratched my cheek, eyes flicking down. Maybe, if you don't mind, we could think of each other like siblings. There was a moment of silence. Then Veldora's eyes went wide. Sibling, you mean you want me as your big brother? I winced. I didn't say, big, ga ha 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 ha. Of course, he flung his arms out like he'd just ascended to the heavens. Very well, little sister. I, Veldora Tempest, the most majestic of all beings, shall embrace this sacred bond of family. I literally just asked if it was okay. He was already pacing proudly, hand on his chin. It all makes sense now. Our destinies have always been intertwined. The legendary dragon and his reincarnated slime sister, what a tale. I'm seriously regretting this already, I muttered under my breath. Behind me, Seal tilted her head ever so slightly, red eyes calmly observing. Sibling dynamic established, she murmured, as if she were logging a new file. Don't start naming things, I grumbled, but I couldn't stop the faint smile tugging at my lips. Veldora, meanwhile, turned to the sky, one hand raised like he was calling lightning. From this moment forward, none shall question the bond between Rimuru and myself. Sister and brother, united in power and spirit. Great, I've created a monster. But the words came out softer than I meant. Because honestly, it wasn't so bad. Veldora was loud, boastful, and a little too in love with theatrics. Even while sealed, he'd spent 2 whole years inside me acting like a storm of energy, narrating imaginary battles, quoting manga like it was scripture, and generally being a headache to Seal. And yet, through it all, he was there. Even back then, in that quiet cave, I was never really alone. So now, hearing him say it so proudly. If he was proud to call me his sister, then maybe I could be proud too. Yeah, I whispered, letting the smile stay this time. That sounds about right. Still, just as I requested, Veldora was trying his best to rein in his aura. I mean, trying was the keyword here. After being sealed for centuries and then suddenly having all his ridiculous power restored at once, his energy was gushing out like a busted dam, no, like a tsunami. Waves of pressure rolled off him without restraint, rattling the trees and even making the ground hum faintly beneath our feet. Control it, I warned, eye twitching. You'll freak out every single person in the city at this rate. Gah ha ha, I am merely basking in the glory of my full power. How can I hide such radiance? By learning to suppress it, genius. And so, I gave him a crash course on aura control, quick, simple, and hopefully just enough to make him presentable to the rest of society. There was no way I could introduce him to anyone while he was practically screaming, "I'm a disaster class monster," with every breath. As he fumbled his way through the basics, I took a moment to focus inward. As Veldora stood off to the side, aura still leaking like steam from an open kettle, I turned my attention inward. Master. Ciel's voice flowed through my mind, smooth and composed. There was a softness to it, the kind only I ever got to hear. I've finished compiling the changes to your skills. Would you like the report? Yes, please. Very well, I'll keep it concise. As she began, I let her words wash over me, calm and precise even while listing technical changes and evolved abilities. Ciel's voice carried a quiet grace. A rhythm I'd grown used to, and honestly, liked having around. That concludes the overview, she said at last. Would you like the full breakdown next? Later. You've already spoiled me with how organized that was. It's only natural, she replied, with what felt like a faint smile in her voice. To be continued.